Welcome back to the episode of Requesting Good Company. It's me and your boy John Bones. We back at it again for another
Sir.
Eagles review. We're reviewing the last four games that we have currently seen. And John, I just want to start. I mean, we're talking about after the Giants game, after we beat them out 38-20. We go down to Lambeau and we take care of business, but not in a pretty way.
No, no.
10-7 Eagles victory on Monday Night
Coming
Football.
on coming off the bye there and came out not very impressive. I mean, a good win
A good win on paper.
and a tiebreaker that could come into play at the end of the season, but
I need everyone to know that you are watching this after it's Sunday and we're coming off of a Friday loss. So
yep.
if we would have filmed this after the Green Bay game, we would have still probably been a little sad, but we would have still been hype, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if we had filmed it after we go, the Lions come to Philly and we handle business there.
Yep.
That was a game where we handled business defensively.
Yeah. Elite defensive performance in both those games.
Mm. But offensively, it looks a little strugglish, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
AJ's crying, saying he's not getting the rock.
Mm-hmm.
So then fast forward to the Dallas game where we're splitting with Dallas. We lose against Dallas 24-21 in a horrific way.
Yep.
Probably
Biggest
the
one biggest blown lead for the Eagles in over 20 years.
that might be the worst Dallas Eagles game I've watched since the Dez Bryant last catch situation where I think
Yeah.
that was last season, or one of those Amari Cooper last
Yeah.
drive situations.
I remember specifically there was a game. I believe it was the season after we won Super Bowl 52. Carson played, but I think it might have been his last game for the Eagles that season. He was coming back from that ACL injury. We played Dallas, and speaking of which, Dallas caught like a amazing 50 or 60-yard touchdown pass in that game. They got wiped off the board, and we'll get into Dallas and what we saw this weekend and how we think it shapes up for the rest of the season. That Dallas game just sickening to race out to a 21 to nothing lead and to blow it in the fashion that we did. Just sickening, and it's given them some life in a division that it looked like that we were going to run away with. As we know, no one has repeat won this division since the Eagles did it before they were off to Super Bowl 39 and ended up losing to New England. But that's how long it's been since you've had a repeat division winner in in the NFC East. And you
That's
know,
good competition, though.
do what?
And that's good competition.
Oh
Competition.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
But the talent that we have, it shouldn't be a
no,
situation.
no.
I
And
will say
you've given that team some life down there.
I will say that this Dallas Eagles game that taught me a little in humility
For
because
sure.
when we were up 21-0, I
Couldn't tell
text
us nothing.
I texted people. That's the worst thing
Mhm.
you could do is text
Oh
somebody.
yeah, yeah.
I,
Especially
text,
until the clock hits triple zeros.
I texted like pass the sticks. It's 21 nothing.
Uh,
You got to get off the sticks. You're down 21. I was texting crazy
yeah.
just to get my feelings hurt, but it's all right. And then, as Eagles fans, we can easily say, that's the best 5-5-1 Super Bowl that the Cowboys have ever had, like saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you're still better than them. You just lost.
And you split with them, so you can still go back to that week one game that doesn't really it doesn't. I mean, our
I was at a
offense
4-point
from week
win too.
yeah, our offense from week one to now, which can lead us into this Bears game, has not been good. Overall, I would say from week one compared to now, we are worse offensively than we were in week one. Worse than we were you can make the case that we're worse than we were offensively in that Giants game that we lost. But at the end of the day, you're 8-4, and you go into the Chicago game and you're 8-3, and you really got a chance to keep your pace with the Rams, which luckily today the Rams did lose to the Panthers,
To the
and
Panther, yeah.
Panthers have had some surprising wins this season. They're in the thick of the. That win helps us in regards to not having to see Dallas again, which, really, I do not want to see them again. And the best case scenario for the Eagles in that situation is going to be to win the division. And luckily, on the NFC side, you take the loss to Chicago, and we're going to jump into that game. But you take that loss to Chicago, and you see the results of this weekend, and things still went the Eagles' way. The Rams lose. You hold the tiebreaker over them, so you're only a game behind them. You own the tiebreaker over Green Bay, who won Thursday in pretty nice fashion, but Detroit doesn't look the same. You keep the tiebreaker over them. The Eagles have to win this division. Chicago sits atop of the NFC right now. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say I'm not gonna say that they're clear cut the best team in the NFC. I did tell you that I thought before this game that they would be able to give us some problems, and they
You did
definitely
call
did.
that.
They
You did call
definitely
that.
did.
They
And
shouldn't have though, which is weird. It was
well,
weird.
here's the
There was a
thing.
lot of redemptions in that game.
Go
Swift,
going in for sure. A lot of
DJ
ex
Gardner
players on that
Johnson,
team. I
shout
think
out
what
Montez Sweat
I
family.
think I think what separates them to across from against everybody else in the NFC, I think they have the best coach. I think they have the best coach in the conference. Because Avery, I can sit back and say, yeah, the Eagles have a Super Bowl winning coach, but he's not helping this team right now. I'm not saying the
Yeah,
right
he's
move
a
is
leader,
to
not
get
a play
rid of
caller,
him. Yeah, why
which is
that he should take over the play call. If you're the head coach and you're in this situation, you have nothing to show for your offense being provided a spark. Patullo, not the greatest play calling over the last few weeks, but at the same time, the players have to be accountable. I thought Jalen played his worst game of the season on Friday. I thought he missed throws. The tush push fumble was bad. The interception was not great. Interception goes to Kevin Byard, former Philadelphia Eagle, who we traded for. I'm not so much as upset about the players that we've lost. I
most of
don't
their
think we can
secondary is
dwell.
from Philly.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we can dwell on the guys that we lost because we know that there's going to be exits when you have a team that is as good as the Eagles were a year ago. It's just you're gonna have casualties whenever you have a good roster like that, and we still got people to pay. We've got people to pay on the defense. We've and that's why you end up letting some of these guys walk. So I don't think that you can get caught in the emotions of losing guys like Gardner Johnson, losing guys like Kevin Byard, losing guys like T.J. Edwards, DeAndre
Kevin
Swift.
Byard, you could have let go, but CJ Gardner Johnson, and I will repeat this multiple times. He was
Hmm.
the heart of the nastiness of that
Yeah.
defense.
Yep. And he's calling us out for it. He's calling us out for it, and rightfully so, saying, that our offense is easy to predict. And, there's just an aura around that offense right now, Avery. There's just
It's not a
a
good thing.
negative aura around that offense where nothing feels like it can go right. I'll take a step back to that Dallas game right now. We came out guns blazing in that game. Offense, we decided, hey, we're going to throw the football in this first half, and we're going to be able to do it effectively, and we're going to be able to build a lead. And our defense was able to protect that lead. So why do you go into the second half thinking that you're going to be able to run the football the way that you were a year ago? Abandon the pass game altogether. You Saquon Barkley touched the ball 470 times a year ago. He's not going to be the same player. I don't think he's necessarily lost a step. I think our offensive line is not the same. They're not playing good. You have all pro caliber players on that offensive line who are not playing up to their standard. Landon Dickerson has not had a good year this year. Cam Jurgens has not had a good year this year. We're without Lane Johnson. Uh,
Demon.
Tyler Steen is not a starting
Damn.
right is not a starting guard in the National Football League right now. Maybe you catch a little bit of a break, and I don't know.
What's
I know
Fred?
that.
Fred was doing all right when he first got in there.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, I do think that we'll get Lane Johnson back. There's been some suggestions on what the Eagles can do to kind of jumpstart the offense. One that I thought was kind of interesting was Nick Foles actually mentioned Patullo's never called plays at a high school level, a college level, or an NFL level. And this is the guy that we decided to promote within. And we've seen how we haven't mentioned, going back to the 2023 season where we imploded after a 10-1 season. But as you know, lost Shane's, excuse me, lost Shane Steichen after that season to the Colts. And then we promoted within. Brian Johnson became the offensive coordinator, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. So Nick Foles suggests maybe move this guy to the booth. That's where he's been his entire career in regards to helping the offense because he's been with our team for a while. I think he's buddy with Sirianni, but maybe shifting him to the booth would be a help. But at the same time, they're not going to be able to run the football. It doesn't seem we're going to be able to replicate the way we were able to run the football a year ago. So you're going to have to depend on Jalen Hurts a little bit more. You're going to have to get the ball to AJ Brown, which they've started to do the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. But the there's just no continuity. There's no consistency with the group. They
I think
they
the
can't.
problem realistically is, you know, teams like script that first drive, right?
Yeah.
And the first drive should be pretty.
Yep.
We have not had a pretty first drive all season.
No.
So that
Besides the Dallas first drive
so
where we
that
scored
shows
a
you the
touchdown.
scripting is
Yeah.
is not it. Like,
Yep.
and then when you
Got to be
find
able to
something,
adjust.
huh?
Got to be able to adjust. You got
And
to
then
be
when
able
you
to
find
adjust.
something that is working, they don't stick to it.
No.
That's the big thing. I mean, and I'm get people are like attacking Jalen, like, oh, you can't say this is play call and this is wide open. Well, let the play run all the way through, and you see he might have one look, but that's not the first read. The first read's over here, and it's covered. Second read's covered. You don't have time for a third read in an NFL.
No, no, and a lot. I never played. I never played any quarterback in high school or at any level, so it's hard for us as fans to sit back on the couch. And I'm thinking specifically of the slant that he had Devontae over the middle, and people have dissected that play for 3 days. If you wait a little bit longer, yeah, you have Jahan Dotson at the top of the end zone. Dallas Goedert was wide open on that play. But what people fail to realize is
That's bad.
you have a man, you have a free rusher coming right at you. And Jalen senses that. I've watched enough football to know, hey, he senses that pressure. He knows he's got to get rid of the ball quick. Maybe they schemed that play. Maybe that was their way of scheming guys open. The read's just got to be faster. Or he's got to put the ball on the money. But at the same time, there was pressure there.
The other thing I want to talk about is our pass rush is okay,
Yeah.
but I was watching football today and I'm seeing Sweat eat up. I'm seeing, people that used to be here eat up. And it's
Yeah.
Nolan Smith came back. He's still a little slow. BG's back. He's still a little slow. Jalen Carter's doing all right. I mean, you can't, he's getting
Just
triple
draws
figures.
doubles, just draws
And,
doubles all the time, which
and
I
Jordan
mean when
Davis is getting, he's been all right for real.
yeah.
But then
Yep.
I see a
Uh
statistic that Campbell didn't touch the field last
no,
game. And ain't
no.
nobody gonna say nothing about that.
Yeah, that's odd. Zach Bonds had a down year and compared to how we watched him play a year ago. Nakobe feels like the vocal leader of this defense, and he made big plays in that Dallas game. Didn't have a very good game against the Bears, I don't think. There's been a lot of talk over whether, you're able to bring him back next year or not, because he will be he is on a contract year. So, I don't know if Nakobe's one that you're able to retain or not. I feel like he's done enough in the last couple of weeks to be like, hey, we need this guy on our defense because I feel like he leads those Georgia guys. They've been with them for so long. They know what kind of leader he is. One thing I'm going to ask you, with how poorly the offense is playing, do you think that there's maybe a little bit of resentment on the defensive side of the ball? They gave up the Bears ran 47 plays in the first half of that game on Friday. 47 plays. Like the defense is tired. They're on the field all the time. And regardless of the fact that you're giving up these huge runs to Monagai and Swift, who both went over a buck 20 on the ground, they did their part defensively in regards to it's hard to keep teams out of the end zone in the NFL. We know this. It's hard to keep teams out of the end zone. But what I do know is this year, teams that win football games in the NFL, that every team that has won, the average score is you have to be able to score 26 points, and most of the time you're going to be able to win. That's the number for this season. We didn't score 26 against the Packers out of the bye. We didn't score 26 against the Lions the following week. We weren't able to put up 26 against the Cowboys the following week, and we only scored 15 on Friday. So there is major, major problems with this offense. I think the defense has maybe grown a little resentful. They see what these guys are making on the offensive side of the ball. They know what kind of talent is on that side, and for them to not be able to keep the defense off the field with these short drives. What we have, I think we punted 5 times on Friday. It's not sustainable.
I mean, when you look at how teams even practice, you will see that there's always resentment on both sides of the ball,
Yeah.
defense practices and offensive practices. And then you're like, I mean, and that changes really, unless you're in like a major high school or something like that changes in college, where you kind of stick to your own people, right? Defense stays with defense, offense stays with offense. And then there's a point in practice where the ones run against the ones and the two
Hmm.
run against the twos, and it's a competition. So
Yeah.
then you get to the game and you're like, oh, we're holding up our deal. Y'all
Yeah.
been smacking us in practice. Y'all getting paid millions and y'all can't score. And I think a lot of, I mean, this is the same team really from last year, just missing some pieces, added a couple guys, but it's the same base, right? So to know what they were doing last year and then see it playing this year, I know that Jalen Carter gets pissed. I know that, Quinion probably really hot.
Yeah.
You know, reading the exciting whites are probably pretty chill. But but you know, uh you can see like there's frustration, but I now going forward, I don't believe that this is, I mean, we are at a red alert, red alert, red alert, but I still, I could still see us being the one seed in the
It's
NFC.
hard. It's hard not to feel that way whenever you see what transpired over the day. Like LA struggles against a middling Panthers team, and they lose. Uh, we beat Green Bay. We beat Detroit. Chicago was a one-score game for most of it. You got to think if this Eagles team could get out of the ghosts in front of them, that they would be able to make another deep run into January. I don't want to discredit that, but
There
at the
is
same
fear
time,
though.
you
There is
have
fear
to
though. Go ahead, John. My bad. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Um, at the same time, you have to be able to go back to what you know offensively, and I know that is running the ball right now. Or a year ago, it was running the ball, but we haven't been able to do that. So, you have two receivers out there making 30 million a year. You got to put the ball in their hands.
There is a fear though coming up with our next couple of games. I mean, we'll think we probably run out the next three games before the Bills game, then shoot another pod and then finish out the season.
Yeah.
But my fear with coming into the Chargers game is Herbert and them throwing that ball.
Did receive a alert right before we started shooting that Herbert has a broken wrist. So,
Football team, that's
possibly even more help next week. But, I'm not even necessarily looking at Herbert in a game like that. I mean, yeah, he obviously if he plays, he's a threat. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But with that, they're going to run the ball, and their running back had over 120 yards today. Jim Harbaugh football team is going to try to run the football, and they were able to find success doing that again against the Raiders today, who are obviously they might be the worst team in football, and we'll see them in a couple of weeks. But
but
they're
that
going to try to
Genty
run.
might act up on us. We have trouble stopping that run with
Yeah.
Javante Williams, with Swift. We had a backup running back run for 100 on us last week. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's disgusting.
Hmm.
And where the heck is Tank Bigsby?
Right.
Put
Right.
that man in the game.
To be able to average 8 or 9 yards a carry on the season and to not even get a touch is inexcusable. Inexcusable.
Something obviously happened because Campbell didn't get a touch. He didn't touch the field on a defense. Doesn't make any sense.
And he's a better coverage backer than N'Kobe is.
What's
I
happening?
mean, that's why we drafted him,
I just don't know what I mean. We weren't getting really torched in the. I mean, yeah, we were getting torched on them third and fourth downs, and the jumping off sides. Oh my god, I couldn't handle that.
a lot of mistakes, a lot of
That
mistakes
that actually made me sick to my stomach.
on both sides. Yeah, they have made a lot of mistakes over the last few weeks, especially against Dallas. Made a lot of mistakes in that game. You know what are the silver linings here that make you feel like they're able to turn this around?
Our schedule of the rest of the season is kind of weak, besides Josh Allen. So you really get one, two, three, four, five games to figure it out, and then
That's
hopefully you're at
that's
home.
another good football team we play next Monday, Avery. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
The
And
Chargers,
yeah.
bro, I have no respect for the AFC. I just don't see it. Everybody that's good is in the NFC.
It seems that way. It seems you have 4 or 5 teams in the NFC that are probably capable of making the Super Bowl,
And the
uh,
team that you should be afraid of in the AFC is probably not even making the playoffs this year.
which is Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, they're
Travis Kelsey's still having a good year. I don't care how
yeah.
they're portraying him. He's eating this year. I have him in fantasy in every fantasy league I'm in. So, but Chargers, it should be a dub if it's Monday night football.
If Herbert's out, I give them zero excuse to lose that football game. You cannot lose that football game if Justin Herbert does not play.
Raiders should be a dub. They're 2-10. Commanders without Jaden Daniels, but Debo hates us, so it's up in the air. And
Feel
Terry
like they're
back.
split. I mean, the way I've watched us play the last few weeks, Avery, I don't know how we don't split with them
I don't
at
care if we
worst.
split. We need to win the first one.
Yeah,
I mean, if we win these next three games, it should be straight for us.
yeah, yeah. I
Then
mean,
Josh Allen
and if you win
in the
all
Bills
three of
Mafia.
those, if you win all three of those, that locks in a home playoff game.
Yeah, that's clutch. But we have, and then we got to turn around and go to Buffalo, which is, I think, the stupidest thing we could ever done. Two, two games before the end of the season. Well, that's the second to last game. Is going to in the freezing cold is actually insane.
We odd schedule for the Eagles in general. They don't get back to back home games the entire season. So that's why I feel like it's important to really take advantage of what was given to you today and take that into next week and carry that through the rest of the season because these 1 and 2 seeds are still wide open. And we saw the Eagles were able to lock in the 2 seed last year and stand on their ground. They get an upset in the second round. I would almost say that I would rather see this Eagles team in a dome than playing in the cold in January, which, in a dome, really the only home playoff game that we'd be looking at indoors would be at LA, and we hope that we don't have to see that until an NFC Championship game. But that's another team that we have that tiebreaker over. But their conference is or their division is just going to be tough down the stretch because they have Seattle and San Francisco just knocking on the door.
This is an Eagles podcast, but next week there's some notable games I would like to discuss with you. Thursday
Uh-huh.
night, obviously, is a big one. It's Cowboys and Lions. Um, I
Hmm.
personally, I would like the Lions to win that game. Obviously, uh,
Yeah,
my wife's family's Michigan folks, so works out for
yeah.
me. Um,
We need them. We need Detroit right there. Stop this Cowboys momentum.
Bears and Packers.
Big, yeah, monumental for the race. You don't I don't
Those
think
are
you want to
two
get in
big
this.
games for both sides that are really what we need.
Yeah. For either one of them, I guess for Eagles fans' sake, I guess we need to be rooting for Green Bay in that game just because of tiebreaker scenarios. You would like to kind of push Chicago back towards that wild card air, one of the wild card seedings. So
I would
uh,
rather play. You're not gonna like this.
you'd
I would
rather play
rather
Green Bay.
play Green Bay than any other team in the NFC North besides the Vikings. I would rather play Green Bay again. We beat them 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
And Jordan Love hasn't showed a lot of success against
It's
us in those
fraudulent.
games. Yeah,
But the other thing is, with all those games with Green Bay, they've always been missing some piece. They've been missing receivers. They've been missing tight ends.
right.
But I
If
just, and I don't think the Bears could beat us in a series of 5. I say they got one, and
Yeah,
this is the one. I mean, that's the thing about the NFL. You're only as good as your last loss.
right.
So here we are.
They controlled this football game Friday just about from beginning to end though. I mean they led the entire way. They were able to establish their offense by running the football. Caleb didn't have to do much in this game. Their defense played good enough. They forced turnovers. I think they forced more turnovers than anybody in that. 24 turnovers forced in 11 games. I mean, pretty impressive, but still just with what they give up. I mean, statistically in yards, one of the worst in the league. In yards given up, the Cowboys were the same way, one of the worst in the league in yards given up. So those are my reasons as to why we may be closer to seeing another 2023 finish in comparison to rounding this thing out and making a deep push into the playoffs in January. Weird year just in general. And I want to say in seasons like this that the cream always rises to the top. I've told my friends of AFC teams, specifically like Bengals fans, they have a glimmer of hope over the last few days, especially after beating up on the Ravens. But if you get an elite quarterback in these playoffs and you say, hey, Joe Burrow's got to go to Joe Burrow gets because they could win the AFC North realistically looking out. They just need the Ravens to lose one more, and I think the Steelers have to finish 3-3. Now the Bengals would have to win out, but you
Play,
get Burrow
play
back.
again.
And I just think with the way that these teams are built between New England, between Denver, between um, Indianapolis, I think if you get an elite quarterback in these playoffs, whether it be Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, like those are the teams that are going to come out and show up in the playoffs. And I want to say that the Eagles can do that same kind of thing on the other side, but there are concerns, and the Eagles have a chance to get it fixed. Things worked out for them today. They get the help that they need,
I think
and
the
hopefully we can get that help again on Thursday.
the sad part about it is everybody sees things that need to be changed, and then they get on press conferences and say we're not changing anything,
Yep.
which is scary. That's the scary part about it. But
Yep.
looking forward to next week, obviously, those big matchups, and then the following week there's another big matchup. The Lions play the Rams, so we'll get to see a play out of that. And then talking about the Ravens and Bengals, they play on week 15 as well. So,
We're big Lions fans the next couple of weeks then, I guess.
and then the week after that, week 16, Packers. See, like all these teams that are at the top play each other soon. So
Yeah.
Packers plays Bears again, turn around there. Then Cowboys, Chargers. So
So we have 5 regular season games left. We play the Chargers, the Raiders, the Commanders, the
twice.
Bills, and then the Commanders again, correct?
Yeah.
You know, the control your own destiny, that old tagline, it very much fits with these Eagles. I think if we win these last 5 games, we're undoubtedly probably the number one seed going into the NFC. And 4 of those 5 games are very, very winnable. All 5 of them are winnable. We know that we're good enough to win all 5 of these games based on the roster and the talent that this roster possesses. I and maybe it's a little early to drop something like this, but because Sirianni goes in that post conference and says that they're not making any changes, he might have made his own bed with something like that too. Because we've seen this team, and whenever you don't meet the expectations that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have put together for this offense, I'm not so sure that if we're a one and done in these playoffs, that Sirianni didn't write his own fate and say, "Hey, we got to do something else."
We won't let them go in 1 year. They did Dougie P. They gave Dougie P an extra year.
Yeah, they gave him the extra year, and of course, we just fell short of another conference championship game that year. I think if Nick were able to take him back to a conference championship game, then yeah, his job is most likely safe. But if this thing bottoms out and it's a repeat of what we did in 2023, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it'll be a couple years, but I doubt it. I mean, it's so
I
it's
just
so
don't know what
weird.
he's bringing. What is he bringing to the table?
That's the thing is it's he's bringing that culture. The culture is nice. It's just you got to come to fruition with it. So we'll see how it plays out. But
Yeah.
having a good culture and a good environment. That's why I say, even being a boss personally and being like, hey, I'm the one telling you, like, hey, get on the boat. Let's do this. We can do this. I can give you all the expectations in the world. But until somebody actually puts it on paper and does it, then it's just communication. It's just talking.
Hmm.
So I think that's what we got to see. And we'll see that. We'll see that. But by our next podcast, we will have seen whether it's this or it's that. I don't want to be at the end of the season waiting on somebody else to win or somebody else to lose to figure out where the Eagles are going to be at.
Yeah, I definitely don't want all the help that is happening. I would rather the Eagles just win football games and then we see where we're at. So, with that being said, you go into that Chargers game next Monday. You have 9 days to figure it out and try and pick up the pieces on why your offense hasn't been successful. Are they able to do that? Are they able to do that in 9 games? Do you have confidence that this team can go out and score 24, 25, 26 points and win next week?
Truly, yes. I mean, Jalen is still an elite quarterback. Saquon is still an elite running back. AJ and Devontae are still elite receivers. You know, Cam Jurgens, Landon, Jordan Malata, they're still elite linemen. They just got to play. And we'll
Yeah.
see. All right. Well, that's been another episode of Requesting Good Company. We will be back in 2, 3 weeks. We'll see how they play
Hmm.
because we're always requesting good company.